Right. So we're gonna do a couple of these before we go back to the whole Stampede because it made me think of it. Edge and Christian.
Why'd you have to give me that one? Um, um, because I mainly grew up with Edge, kind of. Well, when I started watching it, I didn't know who Christian was because I didn't watch TNA because he was still in TNA around the time. But I knew who Edge was. Yeah, I saw Christian, and I liked him instantly, especially with him and Orton. I think I would go with Christian.
I go Christian. Mainly because I've seen Christian play both sides. I think Edge is a perfect person you love to hate. But in terms of being able to work great and multiple level character, kind of like a Matt and Jeff, I lean more Christian. What about Bubba and Devon?
Bubba.
Mm-hmm. Why?
I'm not taking anything away from Devon either. Just I did see and it's not just because I've seen a little bit more of Bubba. I also think I've seen him play both sides, and I honestly also just think he's a better wrestler and a great heel, especially in TNA as Bully Ray.
That's what sold it for me is because his work as Bully Ray.
Yeah,
Have you seen?
That's pretty much what did it for me too. Like at first when I started watching TNA, he would always come out and yell into the mic and yell at the cameraman to point at his calves. That is the very first time I saw him, and I'm like, I don't fucking like this guy, but he's fucking funny.
What I liked about that character is I had to think. I think he was immoral. He was an immoral, and he goes, Ken, see, we talked about it, and Abyss thinks you're the problem here. So because of that, Abyss is gonna have a match against you, and he gets out of the ring. I was like, this guy is a genius because that's how bullies act. You know, don't really do stuff on their own. They're meant to deflect. But I love that. You didn't really get to see Rick and Scott Steiner, right?
Not really.
Okay, so that then can't apply to you. What about Jimmy and Jey Uso?
That one's harder now. It used to be Jimmy, but with Jay's work with Roman, it's like I'm in the middle with them.
I lean Scott Steiner on that, but when it comes to the others, it was always Christian, Matt, and Bubba, and for me, Scott, mainly because Scott was able to elevate and change his character. Rick, what's that?
You know what's sad?
One
of the first things I ever saw was Scott Steiner.
What?
Matches with Triple H in 2004.
Yeah, you would have to go back in WCW, see better stuff.
Yeah.
He wasn't a great character, but that's not a good reflection.
Yeah, that was like the first thing I saw of him. I'm like, oh geez.
Okay, so we go back. The Inner Circle versus Pinnacle was just what it is, what it's going to be. CMCMP is going to be ridiculous. You kind of had them all fighting by themselves, if you will, where Jake was fighting.
Wardlow.
Wardlow. I blanked on his name completely. I'm like, I know it's not Walter. Walter's in NXT. Then you had Santana Ortiz with Dax and Cash Wheeler, FTR. They did this like bar scene, which is weird. and then you had Tully Blanchard dressed up like FTR, and they kind of shared drinks, and Conan ends up being a DJ. But it was just ridiculous. Then you had, like I said, Jake and Wardlow fighting, and they were fighting in like a meat freezer. You had Sean Spears. I almost called him Ty Dillinger. Yeah, Sean Spears with the chair, surrounded by other chairs, meeting up with Sammy. And you had Jericho and MGF fighting in the offices for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But this was a coronation for Sammy Guevara because Guevara is the one that won it for the Inner Circle. This made Guevara look like a star. And because of Inner Circle being tied to Jericho with Jake and Sammy and Santana and Ortiz, they have been able to make themselves more valuable to the show and where people know who they are. This is the proper way to have a WWE talent make other people look good. And then you had, which honestly, the Pinnacle's like the new blood, and then you got you have the Inner Circle, which is like Evolution. Pinnacle is going to come out of this looking stronger. Even though in defeat and whatnot, they're going to come out looking stronger. MJF was able to be elevated by Jericho, both tagging and going against him. You have Cash and Dax Wheeler that are going to they're going to be the main focus because of who they're associated with and their tag team. And then you have Wardlow that's going to look strong because of it. Shawn Spears, I like to think that he has a lot of capability. He's just not getting much luck because I've seen him do pretty good character work. I'm not sure what's going to go on with Shawn Spears, but out of this, the one that came out looking the best was Sammy Guevara.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. That chair shot, or the thing he did with the chair at the end with Shawn Spears, that looks sick.
Mm-hmm.
That
did.
So real. I'm like, oh god, I think it just killed him.
And Sammy's one of those again that could probably get the TNT title and look really good with it, and be a pretty good champion. I don't like comparing a lot of people to like old wrestlers, but he definitely has the ability to be like one of the next hot flyer focuses for like AEW, where a popular star.
Yeah. At first, I wasn't too like. When I first watched, I think it was the first episode when they debuted the Inner Circle.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it wasn't a big fan of Sammy, but like as I've seen him work more and stuff, I do enjoy him. This match, you already knows, was like probably it wasn't my top 3. My favorite match was the tag team with
the Bucks.
Young Bucks and Moxley and Kingston. Then be the triple threat, and then it'll probably be the Stadium Stampede. If I had to rank them from my favorite to least favorite matches, those are definitely in the top 3 because I enjoyed them the most.
And to go back to something you said about Sammy, I actually really liked Sammy before he joined the Inner Circle. I didn't think he should have joined, in my opinion. From the first Dynamite to now, the people that I've been a fan of almost consistently has been Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, MJF. I think it's a Darby Allin, but Sammy Guevara, MJF, and then I've been kind of off and on with Hangman Adam Page. But when Eddie Kingston came in, I became a fan of him almost immediately. I don't think he has the build. I'm not trying to pick on him. I don't think he has the build, but he's so entertaining on the mic when he was doing the whole thing with Moxley in the beginning. I just have been a fan of him and have followed him ever since. Britt Baker, I didn't like her until she became a heel. Lance Archer, I liked him before AEW, but that's also because I saw him locally at a New Japan show. And I remember him being Lance Hoyt in TNA.
Archer in WWE.
I never saw it, so I had no opinion on it.
I saw like a few matches on
it wouldn't be the first time that WWE picked up someone from TNA and did nothing with them. Braden Walker, aka Wildcat Chris Harris, is a good example of that.
Yeah, and Colt Cabana.
Colt, well, I don't know if Colt was ever been TNA. I know he was in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, was he? I can't remember if he was or not either, actually.
I know he was in Ring of Honor. I don't think he was in TNA. At least I can't pinpoint who he was. The Bucks were in TNA, but they're in there as Generation Me and Max and Jeremy Buck.
I never caught their actual names. I know they were Generation Me, but I never caught their actual names.
It was Matt was Max Buck and Nick was Jeremy Buck.
I saw one of their matches. I think it was against Motor City Machine Guns, but I can't remember.
That's mainly who they were going against, is Motor City Machine Guns and Ink Inc.
Ink.
Yeah, INKINC. It was Shannon Moore and I don't remember the other guy's name. Ethan Page was in Impact before AEW. He was part of the North with Josh Alexander. I don't remember Kenny Omega being there. I don't remember Pac being there.
No, I didn't see Impact for so long. I didn't realize that Karrion Kross was Killer Kross and Brian Cage was in it.
Brian Cage was in it. He was one of the champions. He actually beat John Morrison for the belt. Killer Kross was there as well. He had a feud with Sami Callihan. Santana and Ortiz were over there as LAX, which is why Conan was there for the Stadium Stampede.
Yeah. I kind of figured. I actually brought it up to someone that asked if they knew Conan. Because they didn't watch Double or Nothing, but I told them that they were there and they were surprised.
Yeah. Yep. Conan was there. He was part of LAX, and they were part of the new LAX, and I don't remember whose side was on what, but it was Eddie Kingston had one version of LAX, which was Super Mex Hernandez and Homicide, and Conan had the other one and the other part of LAX, which was Santana Ortiz. But I can't remember if Kingston was aligned with Santana Ortiz or if it was Conan that was aligned with them at the end. But be that as it may. But that was Double or Nothing. All right, like I said there, that was the review of Double or Nothing. I did it with Tyler, who is actually a brother. I tried reaching out to a few people just to try and do a roundtable discussion because I wanted to do something different for it, but I was not getting the feedback that I wanted. I wasn't getting responses, and scheduling was just not working out between myself and a few people. So I kind of relied on him for this. Coming up, recording wise, is I think I'm gonna go through and do the Video Games Are Cool podcast, where I'm gonna be talking about everything that came out during E3. E3 had just passed. I think we just had the last presentation just a few hours ago. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. A little bit of spoilers. Like everyone else is talking about, Xbox had a really good presentation, so I think I'm going to be talking high on Xbox there. I get it. Not everyone has Xbox or even is a fan of Xbox, which is respectful. PlayStation, typically between the PS4 and now, has just been dominating in terms of video game sales. Nintendo just behind them, and Xbox is doing their own thing, and a lot of what they're doing is very respectful. I do like the product, but I do like all of the products that are out there in terms of video game abilities. But I think that'd be kind of a nice way to go about it, because wrestling and video games seem to be a little bit intertwined. And yes, this is more of a wrestling podcast, but I do think that one-off would work. Retribution one's about to be recorded. I have been writing that one out. It's pretty much done. So that one will be recorded as well. I am going to talk about the NXT takeover, In Your House takeover, I think is what it's called. I am going to talk about that one, but I'm going to do it more in line with a lot of the TV shows, because it might have been an event, but I don't know if I really want to call it an event or not. And of course, coming up, Hell in a Cell is this Sunday, so we're going to talk about that as well. I'm going to try and schedule that one to be recorded earlier in the week. That way, we're not putting this out several weeks after the fact. So I want to try and target like a Tuesday or Wednesday download for that. So that's what's up coming up on here. This one should be uploaded Wednesday night, and for you guys to download on Thursday and or Friday. Because I noticed that Google Podcasts, for some reason or another, seems to have a little bit of a delay on it. I'm not sure what's causing that, but it'll be up there. Any case, you can find this on Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, I believe now Podbean and iHeartRadio, as well as YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at WrestlingSCool. Facebook is Wrestling Still Cool. Instagram is Wrestling Still Cool. TikTok is Wrestling Still Cool 90. I have my own at KM_Wrestling Still Cool. I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of my videos on there are mainly related to dogs. I haven't really done a wrestling related one yet. Although I do have a couple, I think they call them